to 10 companies. Some of them will succeed, some of them will not succeed. You diversify.
Right.
You might say that, Deepak, you're in a chemical industry where the cycle is up right now, so I'll buy you. But once the cycle turns, I will sell you and I'll go buy a IT company whose cycle will be up at that time. So you're a short-term investor. Or somebody else says, listen, you make Fevicol, so I will buy you because I think Fevicol is always going to be used in India forever. Therefore, I love your brand, I love your advertisements, I will buy and I will not sell your stock. You're a long-term investor.
Right.
Then there are daily speculators, because if you need to sell, somebody needs to be on the buying side. If you need to buy, somebody needs to be on the selling side. The people who provide that liquidity in the market by saying, he wants to sell, I'll buy from him. And that guy wants to buy maybe a little bit later, but I can sell it to him for a slightly higher price, maybe 1 paisa, 2 paisa.
So that's how brokers come into this.
Brokers and speculators come. The brokers are actually people who help you get access to the market. The jobbers or speculators are people who play this market on a short-term basis.
Okay.
Typically, earlier they used to work for the broker. Now they can be separate entities. So there are funds and hedge funds set up to do this, even through algorithms and computers, where they can automatically buy and sell.
Including in the matter of milliseconds and so on.
Microseconds, milliseconds. So typically a trade, you might see that within 10 minutes, 5 million trades have happened.
Okay.
Simply because there were people looking to buy and people looking to sell. Somebody had to bridge that gap, and somebody took that intermediate risk and bridged it. So the computers, earlier they used to do it with terminals. Now there are multiple exchanges. There's a BSE, there's an NSE.
Right.
And somebody wants to sell on the BSE, buy on the NSE. So the buyer is on a different exchange, and somebody now needs to bridge those two. These are called arbitrages.
Okay.
So the arbitrages just take two similar trade things. Earlier, these arbitrages to be, if you're selling something in Bombay for 100 rupees, in Bangalore the same price is 120. He buys it from Bombay at 100, transports it to Bangalore and sells it at 120. The way now that happens, because it's only bytes that are transported, the time of transportation is minuscule. So therefore, I can buy and sell in milliseconds. All I have to know is I have to bridge the gap between the two. And because this is being done by computers, the process happens so fast that you will hardly find a difference between the price on one exchange and price on the other exchange. There is one.
And that's a good thing, because you have a bigger market which is more stable and which has similar prices. Right?
If you look at how the real economy works, like onions. We say onions are costly in Bangalore, but they are cheap in Nashik.
Right.
But they're costly in Delhi, but they're cheap in Bombay. Why? Because the idea is the arbitrages haven't, or there may be a more sinister reason for them to keep the prices down. In Bangalore, for instance, the big trade was bananas. When a certain politician was the chief minister, trucks loaded with bananas were stopped at the outskirts of the city. So bananas in Bangalore were 20 rupees a kg more than anywhere else in Karnataka. Literally, you could go to Yeshwantpur and pick it up at 1/4 the price, because they were not allowed inside the APMC yards.
Okay.
There were trucks standing outside selling their wares, but you had to go there, because if you went to the APMC yard, you would get it at a much higher price. The politician was linked to the APMC lobby, and he wanted the prices in Bangalore to be high.
Right.
So there is sinister reasons for keeping this arbitrage down. Now, you can't do that in the stock market. You can't say this is, but I mean, you can. There is a way for me to say I can ensure you don't get any shares because I own all the shares of this company, directly or indirectly. So then, if you want to pay, you have to pay my price. This happens in really small companies where the shares, what the term has been used is they cornered. One person corners all the shares, and he ensures that. But that cornering is a very difficult process in a large company, because they make multiple owners. If you corner it and push the price too high, someone who's been holding it for years will say, yeah, this stock is not worth so much, let me get out of it. And he will sell and then bring the price down. So the cornering has to happen almost as a planned activity, and perhaps in a smaller scale, because at larger scales, there are too many players that they can come and destroy your organization. Okay. However, this has happened, this does happen. The most famous was in 1983 when Dhirubhai Ambani actually shut down the exchange.
Okay.
Because some people were trying to bring the prices of his stock down, and he went and bought everything in sight, to the extent that he was the only buyer in town. There were not enough shares to meet the obligations for them to give him the shares. Okay. And he told the exchange to shut down, because he said, give me the shares. You guys sold it. Where are the shares? So they thought they will sell it and buy it back at a lower price. But there was no lower price. So they ended up losing hundreds and hundreds of, that time it was tens and tens of crores. Wow. But it was a lot of money. And till now, the name Manu Manek